You don't think I would have forgotten about you guys? Come on, you're coming on the adventure too. If you're new to the channel, I'm Greg. I'm a javelin thrower for Scotland and I'm out for a 3-day solo adventure. I'm starting off on the south coast of Anglesey, an island off the northwest coast of Wales. I'll be making my way along beaches, racing tides and getting a bit wet, while finding huge crabs and spotting some mysterious beasts.
What was that?
So if you like the outdoors, having a bit of a laugh, then come along for the ride. I've got about 5 miles to walk today to get to the first potential campsite. Not long after setting off, I ran into some of the locals. Ponies just hanging out by the beach like they owned the place. I kept moving and I hit the beach. It was here I noticed the tide was swiftly coming in across this sandy flat. No time to hang around here though. Didn't take long for me to get my feet wet, did it? If I wanted solitude, I've definitely found it. I'm the only person on this entire beach. This is magic. What an absolute cracking day. So what you can see from here is the whole of Snowdonia. That's going to be my backdrop for the next 3 days. As I was leaving this part of the beach, I spotted something winding through the sand up ahead. Well, it didn't look like much, but this stream is going to be my only source of fresh water. It's a bit salty for me. And that's why I brought plenty with me, which might explain why my bag's sitting at around 26 kilos. This area here seems to be like a shellfish graveyard. I've seen this really cool looking crab. Look how spiky it is. I know I've seen lots of these nice shells. Definitely a tough place to survive. Ah, what a load of nonsense. There's a pub around the corner, look. As I got closer, it became clear this old pub was not in use anymore. Wow, got a whole tree growing in it. It's a shame really. Would have been a perfect spot for a pint. Almost at campsite 1, just a little bit further to go, and then we can start getting set up. Here we go, this is home for the night. I'm also just having a little snack of some Welsh cakes. They are very, very nice. Why don't you guys have a little look around while I set my tent up? I think it's time for some food. I put it all in this dry bag. Some chicken frankfurters, tomato onion herb pasta, 2 noodles, some barbecue chicken wraps, broccoli, flapjacks for breakfast, as well as some pancakes, honey roast cashews, jelly beans, protein bars, dried mango, 2 litres of lemonade, apple and mango juice, a litre of water here, and 2 litres of water here for cooking. I've got some of these cabanossi sticks again as well. High energy, nice flavour, and a good bit of protein. For just now, I'm going to be having some barbecue chicken and broccoli wrap. Bish, bash, bosh. This is some real good nosh. That is delicious. I'm going to throw back a few of these and then we'll see if we can get the fishing rod set up and do a little bit of fishing. As that's ripping out there, there's a bit here that's a bit more slack. So I'm hoping there might be some fish in there. I've got this little lure on to begin with and we'll see how it goes. I'll do a few casts here and there, see if we can catch anything. There should be bass, mackerel, dogfish, your dab, plaice, things like that. Wow, this is absolutely beautiful. There's something really nice about just walking along in the sand. I'm going to try a few more casts at this bit and see how we get on. Well, we might not have caught any fish, but it's a beautiful evening and Wales is actually a stone's throw away, quite literally. Maybe it's a little bit further than a stone's throw away. Nice. What a beautiful place to be. Calm skies, no one around, and nothing to do but take it all in. I kept on fishing into the sunset until I got completely distracted by the soft sounds of the waves rolling onto the beach as the light faded. Enough to make anyone fully relax. Or so I thought. Day 1's all done then. What a fantastic day. I'm going to get some sleep now if I can, over this music. It's a shame that's just over the water. Otherwise I could go and join into this big rave. Good night. I'll catch you guys in the morning. Morning. That music hasn't stopped all night. It's almost 5:30 in the morning. I think I'm just going to get up, pack and start heading off. Gives me loads of time till the low tide. Makes it easier. I can get away from the track a little bit. What an absolutely beautiful day it's going to be today. Didn't sleep too well, but that's alright, I don't really mind. I've packed up everything and stuck everything in my bag apart from the outer because it's a little bit damp, so I'm going to wait till the sun comes over a bit and dries it off before I pack that away and get going. In the meantime, I'm going to change my spool to a different line that allows me to cast a bit further, see if I can try and catch a fish again. I've somehow caught a little crab. There's a guy. I just had a good chat with a couple of lads who are out on the boat on the other side. They're enjoying the music show last night as well. Didn't get a wink of sleep. I've got about 4 miles to do to get to this island. I've got this entire beach to myself. This is absolutely magic. There's something about walking across a massive empty beach. When the tide's out and the sky stretches forever, you feel like a speck, like an ant crawling over the earth. And somehow in that moment, all the things that usually bother you shrink with you. It's like the outdoors puts everything into perspective. Your worries feel smaller, your pace feels slower, and maybe that's the gift. This silence to realise none of it matters as much as you thought. In the middle of nowhere, that's weirdly comforting. And it's funny how chasing the tide can clear your head faster than any self-help book. Oh. Well, feet wet again. I've not made good time so far, so I'm going to try and pick the pace up a little bit now and hopefully make it there before high tide. Oh, you love a little bit of excitement, eh? Just a little bit further to go. I think I've done about 2 miles, so I've got 1.5 miles to go. I picked up the pace across the beach, trying to get ahead of the tide, but of course I got completely distracted. First, by a spider crab. They're usually found out deeper, but sometimes wash ashore, spindly, slow moving, like they've walked straight out of a sci-fi film. Then I spotted a barrel jellyfish, a massive thing. They're the biggest jellyfish in UK waters, and despite the size, they're totally harmless. A few minutes later, I found myself in a less than ideal situation, and a sudden realisation I'd definitely gone the wrong way. It would appear I'm cut off by a bit of water here. Guess we just go for it, eh? It's up to the knees. It's not that bad. I did wonder why nobody was walking on that bit and why there was no footprints there. Oh well. After that little mishap, I made it onto the island. The dark volcanic rocks you see sticking out of the sand are a reminder of this island's ancient geological past, formed by underwater eruptions during the Ordovician period, are over 450 million years old. Going to check out all the way up round to the top and back round again. Oh yes, I think this little bit here will do. This is cracking. No one's here. Some lovely rocks around. Nice shell. That one looks like it's got gold in it. And that one looks like a little fossil or something. I had a quick snack and decided to head on around the island to see what else it had to offer. Little hidden coves, new views, maybe even a better spot for some lunch. There's loads of sea anemones here, which means that the tide is definitely coming over here in a bit. It turned out the tide had crept up more than I'd realised, cutting off the lower path and forcing me onto the rocks to stay dry. So me and my 25 kilo bag clambered over onto the next beach, only to get wet feet again anyway. I was met by another beautiful beach, with St. Dwinwen's Church rising just above the hill in the distance. I followed the curve of the beach, then left the sand behind and made my way inland, through a weathered wooden gate carved with care, and past the ponies that roam the island freely, grazing without a worry in the world. And here we are, St. Dwinwen's Church. The original chapel was built in the 5th century, dedicated to Dwynwen, the Welsh patron saint of lovers, much like St. Valentine. Most of what remains today dates from the 13th to 16th centuries, including parts of the later medieval church. The site was once an important pilgrimage destination. Pilgrims would visit Dwynwen's holy well nearby, which was believed to reveal the fate of relationships. Fish in the well were said to signal whether love would succeed or fail. Beyond the ruins, a large stone cross rises from the hill, and just past that, I start making my way up to tour more the Great Tower. Built in 1845 to guide ships through the treacherous waters of the Menai Strait. Standing around 11 metres tall, it was designed in the style of Anglesey's traditional windmills, making it one of the most distinctive lighthouses in Wales. Though it's no longer in use, it once worked alongside a smaller tower, towed back to help ships safely navigate around the island and its shifting sandbanks. The location was crucial. The strait has strong tidal currents and a long history of shipwrecks. Wow. What a view. Time to go and find a sheltered spot, I think. I have circumnavigated the entire island and I've got a bit of time to spare, so I'm gonna have a little nap.
Oh no, I've overslept and the tides came in. I'm now surrounded by water and I'm gonna have to stay here and survive the night. It's what I wish I was saying. But very low spring tides today. So this island isn't becoming an island, unfortunately. I found a really good spot earlier in between the two lighthouses that I would definitely like to pitch my tent, but I'm gonna have to wait till later. So we're gonna go with the wild camping rules, set up late, pack down early. I'm gonna wander around the island a little bit more, head to the other end, maybe do some fishing, and then once it gets a bit quieter, I'll be setting up my tent for the night. Hopefully, don't get kicked off.
I passed a few quaint white cottages that once housed maritime pilots and their families. Not far from there stands Turbach, the smaller lighthouse, still standing strong, and beside it, the old boathouse, once part of the island's lifeboat station. Delicious. And what a fantastic view. And I also get to watch gannets diving for fish. I think it's about time I've got this tent set up now. There we go. Job's a good one. Right, now I've actually got to do the insides. I've got the tent fully set up, although some of the guy ropes might be a little bit suspect. I also had to use some unconventional pegging methods. Like this, not like, oh jeez. This is just class, isn't it? I love getting out, checking out new places. I'd love to stay for longer, but I'm going to run out of water pretty quickly, and then I'll run out of food. I'm going to enjoy this night to the fullest. And I've got a great plan that's going to help me catch some fish. I'm going to sneak up on them. They'll never see it coming. Let's go have some fun. It's just dawned on me I'm wearing a bright orange jacket. This sneaking up on a fish is going to be a little bit harder than I thought. Almost went in. I can see a seal. Let's see if he knows where the fish are. The fishing wasn't going too well, but I did manage to spot some wildlife, like these oyster catchers perched on a nearby rock, keeping me company as the evening rolled in. Thrift flowers were dancing in the wind as the sun started to put on a show. Golden hour was settling in beautifully, bathing everything in warm light, including this curlew flying home to his perch on the nearby Adar Island. Even though there was a distinct lack of fish caught, this has been a lovely evening. What an absolutely fantastic sunset that was. Still looks class now. Behind that lighthouse, what a view to fall asleep to. Incredible. The low tide is at 4 in the morning and high tide is at 11. It's a little bit higher tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure I'll easily be able to get off this one. It's starting to get a little bit colder, so I think I'm gonna put the camera down, get some sleep, and I'll catch you guys in the morning.
Morning. It's definitely quite a lot colder. It's about 4 degrees Celsius. But how good is this to wake up to? Check this out. I think it's going to be another beautiful day. Just got out my sleeping bag and I've noticed these bad boys. Look at that sock line. I'm going to get to explore this island all by myself this morning. Once I've packed up, I'm going to head off the island. We've got some really cool woodland to walk through, and then we're going to go and check out a botanical garden. Pretty cool to think it's just me and a few horses on this entire island. Aren't we, boys? As I made my way off the island, I followed the winding paths made from crushed seashells. These shells, once discarded by the sea, have been repurposed to create durable, eco-friendly walkways. Their light colour reflects the sun, and their porous nature allows rainwater to drain through easily, preventing puddles and erosion. It's a sustainable choice that blends seamlessly with the coastal landscape. It's now time to leave these golden sandy beaches behind and head off into this dark, mysterious forest. Rumour has it that Bigfoot has been spotted here a few times, but I don't really believe in any of that. What was that? Oh my god, did you just see that? I think I'm going to get out of these woods now. That was a close one. This forest was planted in the 1940s to stabilise the shifting sand dunes and provide timber during wartime. The forest trails wind through the landscape, where the scent of pine mingles in the sea air, creating a tranquil transition from the island back to the mainland. Today it's a haven for wildlife, including the rare red squirrel, and offers a serene canopy of Corsican pines. We're also going to be crossing the Menai Bridge, which crosses the Menai Strait. A very cool piece of water, which makes Anglesey the island it is. When the tide is coming in, it flows around both ways and it can meet in the middle, which is pretty unique. The bridge itself was the world's first major suspension bridge, spanning 176 metres, built almost 200 years ago. It continues to carry traffic now. I'm now here at the Treeborth Botanical Gardens. There are loads of really cool plants here. I first saw some bamboo, which can grow at an incredible rate of 90 centimetres a day. These giant rhubarb leaves can grow up to 3 by 3 metres, making an excellent, if slightly prickly, umbrella. There are several ferns here too. This one's called an ostrich fern because its fronds resemble ostrich feathers. These flowers from the Jovelana plant smell like mint when you crush them. Spiky striped leaves from the silky leaf bramble, and finally, some black hero tulips. It's a bloody dragon! Oh, seen a lot of mythical beasts on this trip, haven't we? I'm going to sign this one out here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching to the end. I'll catch you guys on the next one.